The Cremation of Sam Magee by Robert Service. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men that moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales which would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen weird sights, but the weirdest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge I cremated Sam Magee. Now, Sam Magee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was allers cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him in its spell, though he used to say in his homely way, he'd sooner live in hell. We were mushing away one Christmas day over the Dawson Trail. Talk of the cold through the Parker fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. If your eyes we closed, then your eyelashes froze, and sometimes you couldn't see. 'Twasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam Magee. And that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed, and the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe, he turns to me, "Cap," says he, "I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking you not to refuse my last request." Well, he seemed so low I couldn't say no. He said with an awful moan, "It's the awful cold, and it's got right old, and it's chilled me through to the bone. Yet 'tain't being dead, it's the awful dread of that icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear, both foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains." Well, a man's last need is a thing to heed, so I promised I would not fail. Then we started out at the streak of dawn, and my God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raged all day of his home in Tennessee, and before nightfall a corpse was all that was left of Sam Magee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death as I hurried horror-driven with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. He was lashed to the sleigh and he seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and brains, but you promised true, now it's up to you to cremate these last remains." A promise made is a debt unpaid, and a trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were numb, in my heart I cursed the load. In the long, long night, by the cold firelight, while the huskies around in a ring hold out their woe to the homeless snow. Oh God, how I loathe the thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavier and heavier grow. But on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad, and I felt half mad, and I swore I would not give in, and that I wouldn't sing to that hateful thing. And it answered me with a grin. And I came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, and I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. Then I looked at it, then I thought a bit, then I looked at my frozen chum. Then "Here," said I, with a sudden cry, "is my crematorium." I pulled some planks from the cabin floor and I started the boiler fire. Some coals I found which were lying round, and I built the fuel up higher. The flames they soared and the furnace roared, such a sight you seldom see. Then I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal and I shoved in Sam Magee. Then I made a hike, 'cause I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled and the huskies howled and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold and the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why. And a greasy smoke in an inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I don't know how long in the snow I wrestled with awful fear, but the stars came out and danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread. I bravely said, "I'll just take a peek inside." I guess he's cooked. It's time I looked, and the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam, looking cool and calm in the heat of the furnace raw, and he wore a smile that you could see a mile, and he said, "Please close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plumtree down in Tennessee, this is the first time I've been warm." There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men that moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales which would make your blood run cold. The Northern Lights have seen weird sights, but the weirdest they ever did see was that night on the barge of Lake Labarge I cremated Sam Magee.